Unfounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio.
And Sam Forstag.
And today we have with us Sam Forstag,
Happy to be here.
candidate for Montana 1. Sam, nice to have you here in person. We're all together in a room.
For the national folks that they don't know what Montana 1 is, it's the Western House District of Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about some good things that just happened to Sam this very day.
This very day. It's going to be incredible. I want to go over a couple headlines, if that's okay.
Let's go.
First. Okay. I'm going to put this up. See, I'm working off of a mouse because our computer's far away. It's,
I can't even see, so it's fine.
Okay, good.
I want things up on my back.
I want to put this up because this morning, this headline's taking over. I just want to remind everyone, it's been more than a month since Senator Mitch McConnell was hospitalized. And Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is now giving Senator McConnell an ultimatum. He wrote him a letter calling on him to basically provide proof that he has the capacity to serve or to resign. Now, again, we haven't seen Senator McConnell on video in more than a month. He has released 2 photos of himself and his wife. What do you guys think?
I think this kind of gerontocracy is a lot of what we're talking about in this campaign. I mean, we got 380 million people in this country, and somehow we have a U.S. Congress, at least, where the average age is 56 or 58, and the Democrats have become the older of the two. I mean, we are past due for a new generation of leadership.
That's because I got beat last time. Otherwise, it would have lowered the age significantly, and I turned 70 this year. No, I mean, here's...
Next month.
Here's
not just this year, next month.
Your skin looks great.
Cut me a break. Okay. So here's the deal from my perspective. This guy is one of the leaders in the country, Mitch McConnell. He did a lot of things when I was in the Senate. And now he hasn't been there in a month and nobody knows his condition. And literally, the people who stand up and say I had a 20-minute conversation with him, if he had a 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell will be cutting videos right now talking about his health. I think it is incumbent. I wish Mitch the best. I hope he can come back and vote. I hope he recovers and all that stuff. But somebody ought to at least be honest with the American people, because quite frankly, this is one of the problems in Washington, D.C., is that you hide the truth. You don't tell everybody what they knew. You don't have town hall meetings. You don't tell people what they need to know. You tell them what you think they need to know. And it's unfair to all America, but especially the people of Kentucky. And, his term runs out January of next year. So it's not like now it would make a big difference. Or again,
that he's not the oldest person in the United States Senate.
No.
Chuck Grassley is 92.
Yeah, Grassley's getting up there. One of these days, he's going to get old.
Here's the question, though. Why do you want to be 92 in the Senate? Why don't you want to be, like, at home?
I will tell you, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus,
I'm
but
not
a Democratic senator said that there's no better place to be sick than the United States Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. I'm going to tell you that there is a doctor, a naval doctor. They've got 3 or 4 of them up there that serve both the House and the Senate, that are top flight doctors. I mean, top flight doctors, every one of them. They know their shit inside and out, and they know more than just the shit. They know everything.
Well, that's a relief.
And the truth is that they are literally steps away from the floor, each floor of the House, right between the House and Senate. And if people have problems, I guess why Lindsey tipping over really is kind of amazing to me, because he had access to healthcare that would tell him what is wrong, like nobody else does, by the way. And I'm not saying that senators have better healthcare than the American people. They go through Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Sounds like you are.
But what they do have is they do have better access than anybody else.
Well, they have,
if they want to use it.
They have better health care than a lot of the American people.
Absolutely. Some people have no health care, especially after this Congress and this president's done what they've done.
If nothing else, maybe this adds some urgency to making sure everybody can get access to good health care and senior care, so you don't have to go to the U.S. Senate.
That's true. That's a good point.
Otherwise everyone's going to run for Senate.
Everybody's going to run for Senate.
I do want to bring up one story, and then we'll get to our conversation with Sam. But there is a story about a woman in Minnesota She's from Venezuela. She was granted temporary protected status, showed up, asked for asylum with her 3 young kids. And in December, I'm going to add this video here, and I will bring the volume.
Se llevan a uno.
So in December, this is her being arrested at her work site in Minneapolis,
Taking off
area. She got a job,
two employees.
doing contract work with a tree company, and she was arrested. She was legally here. She had a legal permit to work. She was thrown in jail. One of her coworkers said, "Well, I'll take her kids, her 3 boys, because they'll sort this out in a few days. She has the paperwork." Well, it's been almost 8 months, and she did everything, the right way, and she is still locked up in ICE detention. Her name is Sorli Coromoto Rodriguez Olivar, and she is currently there are people fighting to get her released. And I just want to bring attention to this because she's one person in this system. There are for every Sorli, there's thousands of others in similar situations, but we cannot forget about these people, and we cannot stop talking about them because we need to get attention on this.
Do you want to go, Sam, or you want me to go?
No,
Go ahead.
You first.
This is why this election is so important. Anybody out there, I'm sure there must be somebody out there that's watching this podcast that probably is a supporter of Trump. I hope there is, at least. But if you think this is the right thing to do just because they can, even though it's illegal, because she had every right to be here, well, you're wrong. And that means if this can happen to her, it can happen to anybody. And by the way, 8 months, still in basically prison, can't get out, done nothing wrong. This isn't one of the wild and crazy law offenders
Worst
out
of
there.
the worst.
This isn't the worst of the worst. This is a person who had a job, who obviously her coworkers supported because they took her kids, but now is stuck because we've got a system that isn't working, and it's not working because of this administration. So that's why this election is so important. If you think denying civil liberties to people who have every right to be here is the right thing to do, be careful, because you could be next.
So well said. And I mean, thank you for bringing it up, Maritza. I hadn't read this headline, but if she's got a job with a tree service, I bet she's working as a groundie. And that's one of the toughest jobs you can possibly have. You're the one catching all the brush as it comes down off that tree. And groundies don't make it very long. It's working people who suffer and who pay the price when we have this chaotic and cruel approach to our immigration policy. And you saw it here when 100 folks got rounded up, and it included one young fellow who was 20 years old here in Bozeman, taking care of his ailing grandma here legally, illegally detained for 36 hours before he was finally let go and didn't know if he was going to be able to stay in the country. These are people who actually help make this country work. And I saw the same damn thing last summer. I was on a fire in northern Washington, and there was a large incident about 50 miles away where an entire hand crew was lined up on day 14 of a fire, and 3 of them were taken off an active incident after 2 weeks of fighting fire and deported.
Serving the people in the communities around them.
Yes. I mean, this is hard, difficult work, and we are poorer in so many ways when it's approached like this.
And this mother in particular, she is going through what seems to be a mental health crisis. She doesn't believe her children are alive. They are alive. They are safe. But she has quit eating every time she's met with her. The last time she met with her lawyer, she was shackled. She's very thin, and they're just trying to get her help. And again, this is one case.
Yeah, well, put yourself in her shoes. You did nothing wrong. The equivalent of I mean, ICE probably picked her up. That's who picked her up.
That's who picked her up, ICE.
And threw you in the hoosegow, and there's no opportunity to see a future right now. It's inhumane, quite honestly.
Okay, we are going to move into our conversation with Sam. I'm going to just take a second, though, because I don't have my usually I do this
Do you got a Sam promo you're going to bring up?
No, I should, though.
We'll make our own.
Do you have any videos of you jumping into fires we should have been playing?
We got a great launch video with
Yeah,
some
you
good
do have a good
firefighting.
launch video. I just wanted to get on Substack because I haven't been on here to see if we have any comments coming through. Okay, so Sam,
Well, I'll say, if anyone wants to see that launch video while we're on the topic, go to samformontana.com. I'd be derelict in my duty.
Sam for Montana?
All spelled out. Sam for Montana.
And this is the common spelling.
It's an F-O-R.
Don't get any fancy.
Sam for Montana.
Sam for Montana. All right, Sam. you know, I have to say, this was a competitive primary in the state for Montana 1. This is the seat being vacated by former Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke. And it was a I did not know who was going to win this race because there were a lot of great candidates and a lot of people saying, we want to come on, we want to come on, we want to come on. And we said, we're not going to do it till after the primary. But you pulled ahead. So let's start with that. Like, what has this process been like for you? Why do you want to go to the United States Congress? Because it doesn't seem like a very fun place to be right now.
It doesn't, but maybe we need people who don't think they're going to have quite so much fun when they get out there going that way. To me, this process, it has been, I mean, you know what it's like, Senator. It's the most exciting, exhausting thing you can go through, and wildfires included in that. It's been a story of hope. I mean, nobody knew who I was, who our team was prior to January of this past year. And the last poll before our primary had me at 13% and another fella at 35%.
Yeah.
And we ended up pulling out by just shy of 5 points. And a big part of how we did that is talking to a whole lot of people, having more campaign events than anyone else in this race, thousands of phone calls, thousands of doors knocked. I mean, it's probably a lot more like what campaigning was like when you were running in 2006 than what your average campaign looks like today.
Well, I mean, and there's a lot of candidates out there that think that they don't have to make the phone calls. They don't have to make calls for money. They don't have to get around and see people in their community. They don't have to answer tough questions brought to them by their constituents. And you have proven through that race, by the way, because you were, if Maritza would have bet me, she would have won. There was one person that I talked to that said, well, I shouldn't say that. There was 3 people I talked to that said, watch Sam Forstag. He's going to win this thing. One of them was Steve Doherty, my good friend who passed away here a month and a half ago around Memorial Day. But the truth is that you came out of nowhere, and it shows what hard work will do. And in that vein, you're going to go back to Washington, D.C. You are going to be around some people who are there for their ego. You're going to be around some people who are there to, party. And you're going to be around some people who are not show horses, but workhorses. I would classify you as being in the workhorse department. When you get back there, where are your priorities going to lie?
Number one for me, housing. I mean, we're sitting here in Bozeman, right? The median home cost is more than tripled in a place like this, and it's not a whole lot better. You go to Missoula County or Flathead County, and people are getting priced out of Bozeman, and they're having to go to Belgrade, maybe they're having to go to Manhattan. I mean, we have been touring a lot of mobile home parks across the state where, I'm sitting with Debbie over at King Arthur just outside of town here, and she's watched her lot rent more than double in the last 5 years. And that's the last affordable housing option she's got. And when I sat down with Debbie, she said, Sam, when I was younger, when I was your age, if old folks had lived like this, I'd be so angry. And we should be so angry. And what we keep coming back to in this campaign is there are lots of reasons to be angry, but being angry is not enough, and it has never been enough. We've got to move past anger, and we've got to organize and do that work, because it does not feel like we got 3 years to wait to start making sure people aren't having their homes bought out from underneath them by private equity companies that now own 4,000 mobile home lots across the state. That's a policy failure. We don't have time to wait to make sure people can afford basic health care and child care and stable retirement on the back.
Back that up a little bit. Did you venture capital owns 4,000 mobile? My God.
In Montana?
I wonder what they own everywhere else in the country, because that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
Today, I believe you got 23 private equity, or 23 large corporations that own over 18,000 lots across this country. I mean, Mobile City, just 5 blocks from my place, just got bought up by another Texas private equity firm last month, and they don't know what their future looks like. And that's why you've seen a whole lot of mobile home parks unionize in the last year or 2.
Yeah.
It's been historic, and you've seen other unions come and stand in solidarity with them. Like, that has always been our best tool when the rich and powerful come for our basic goods and try to turn it into a source of profit, is to organize and to stand together as working people. And God, I hope this is one of those moments when we can bring working people together.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, let's talk about your history as a working person, because you were a smoke jumper. I asked you, we were out in the hallway talking. We both live in Missoula. It is very, very smoky right now in Missoula. It's not from Canada either.
It's smoky here too.
Coming from
It's smoky
Frenchtown.
here, but not as smoky as it is in Missoula, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
It's apocalyptic, yeah.
Smoky in Bozeman too. But like
Smoky in Kenilworth too, by the way.
okay, it's smoky across the Pacific Northwest. How about we cover that? All right, and the Rocky Mountain West. Do you feel like I know you're here, and I know this has been an energizing process, but do you miss being on the fire right now? Do you feel like you should be out there?
Absolutely. I was texting one of my friends who's on a fire in the Kootenai just earlier today and telling him, I wish I was in your boots. Because, I mean, like I said, it can be exhausting working 16 plus hour shifts on the fire line. You know, it's a different kind of work, having to be on the phone all day and having to go talk to as many people as possible. And it is inspiring and hopeful a lot of the time. But this is where the fight is right now.
And how did your years of service as a smoke jumper prepare you for this moment? Like what do you think are the main lessons that you can take from that career to going and battling it out in the house?
Well, I'd love to talk about forest management with you down the line, but on a basic level,
We need to do that.
Yes.
I was telling him I'm a huge fire nerd.
Yeah.
I would really like to talk about forest
And
management.
it just doesn't apply to fire, by the way. You're a huge nerd.
I'm a huge nerd.
Solidarity.
I will fly that flag proudly. All right, go ahead.
But on a basic level, the biggest thing I learned going through rookie training for smoke jumping, which is a 6 to 7 week process, about 40 to 50% of people make it through that process of the rookie candidates who begin. You're getting your butt kicked for 6 weeks straight and you're learning how to fly a parachute. Is most of the folks who started as rookie candidates, you were just normal people. Like, we are not all astrophysicists. Most of us have never even actually piloted a parachute before we show up for rookie training. And it is incredible when a bunch of normal people are able to get together and organize and work your tail off, the sort of incredible things you can do, like fly.
Yeah.
And put out a remote fire miles from any roads that might save us millions of dollars by not burning through July and August.
It is.
It wouldn't be a grounded podcast if there wasn't one of your phones going off.
It's true.
We're not near the landline, but
exhausting after you get out, apparently.
yeah, it's still exhausting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's so working together, and that's going to be. I'm sorry, I'm taking all the questions. I'm giving you the tester treatment.
I got the important questions coming up. So
okay.
You know, give him the softball.
You're saving the hard ones.
Throw him up there. I'm gonna hit him with the hard stuff.
Okay,
to win in Montana, you have to show you can work together, and you have to get votes from across the aisle. How are you going to do that?
Well, truth be told, a lot of what I'm looking at is the way you won in 2018. You were able to talk to people on both sides, and what else you were able to do is get a lot of people very excited. Remember, we had record high youth turnout in 2018. I remember it.
We did.
Yeah, people were excited. They felt hopeful, and that is what politics is supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel like, I feel like this could be something that could make my life better if I engage with it and if I go knock some doors, not just like the other side is so bad, I'm gonna vote for these guys. And I feel like that's what we've been reduced to a lot of the time, and we don't have to accept that. So
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have been reduced to just bitching and not doing anything about it. And the truth is that if you're willing to put your name on the ballot, it shows that you're willing to do something about it. Because that commitment, by the way, for most people, some people like to do it for the press release, but for most people to put their name on the ballot, it's a shit pile of work to get elected. So it's more than just, yeah, I want to do this. I think it'd be cool to be called Congressman Forstag. You know, I got news for you. It ain't cool at all to be called Congressman Forstag. What's cool is when you get something done that your community and your state, and by the way, the next generation can look at you and say, you know what? This wouldn't have been done if Sam Forstag wouldn't have been there. And so it's good. My question isn't going to be as hard as yours. That's a hard question, you know?
That's not
Like,
really.
yeah, how you get votes across the aisle? I
But
mean,
like Jeff, you do have you heard from people who've traditionally voted Republican who say, yeah, I'm on Team Forstag?
I have. I mean, two brief stories to that account. I mean, I had a fella up in Kalispell our second week of campaigning. His name's Cole, and he showed up at a coffee shop at 9 a.m. with his 2-year-old daughter, and we went in a circle. It was just 12 of us, and we all shared why we were there that morning. And most of the people there were pretty progressive, right? They're interested in a Democratic primary in January. But Cole said, well, I've never seen a place for myself in the Democratic Party. And what Cole said is, he said, well, it's always seemed like a slur to be a straight white man in the Democratic Party. Not my words, his. And there were a lot of people that were uncomfortable when he said that. But the next thing Cole said is, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my 2-year-old daughter. And I make $47,000 a year. How the heck am I supposed to go to work? And he said, it's such a relief to see just a normal working person running for this office, because you don't see that very often.
That's correct.
And that is part of why these problems don't get solved with the kind of urgency that
That's
they
correct.
deserve.
That's
Right,
correct.
right.
People don't feel it.
Unless you can feel, unless you've felt it, unless you can relate with the people who can't put medicine on the table or food on the table,
Yeah.
it's a problem. So getting to those folks.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that has driven me crazy, Steve Daines never did one open house, not one in his term in the Senate, not one.
Shame.
There was an edict put out by the leadership of the Republican Party not to do town hall meetings. I think that's dangerous, and I don't think that's what Sam Forstag's position will be. But how do you intend to get input from your constituents? Because right now, inputs to give to the delegation is pretty tough for constituents to get anybody's attention. They call up. They usually get a voice recording. If they get a recording, they'll get somebody that'll send them a canned letter on something totally different. This happens all the time, by the way, and it's something that Republicans and Democrats have told me that is just unacceptable. Not getting any response from the people who represent me in Washington, D.C. So how are you going to get input from your constituents?
Well, I intend to come back and regularly hold town halls, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. And not just where it's easy, but where it's hard. I mean, we're actually going to have a town hall in about a week and a half down in Hamilton, and I'm going to be co-hosting it with a former Republican legislator who has been chased out of her party like a whole lot of moderate Republicans in this state. And I'm hoping to do a whole lot more civil discourse town halls across the state as well.
For our folks who are viewers who don't know, Hamilton is
South of Missoula,
very conservative town south of Missoula.
But I will also tell you that one of the funnest debates I ever had in 2006 was in Hamilton, Montana.
Really? In 2006?
In 2006. I think that's the only time we had one in Hamilton was 2006. I don't remember one. Could have, but it was a kick because people were engaged. I mean, they had made T-shirts. They had done all sorts of stuff that were pretty amazing. They were very engaged. And I mean, that's what you want. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I want you to vote for the right people. But if you're engaged and you understand the issues and you understand why you're voting for that person, not just because of a damn ad that's put on TV. And by the way, that's why I'm wearing this hat. You should be talking to your folks who are voters out there. And I don't care if it's Montana or any other state, you should be talking to the people, go to where they are, ask them questions, find out if they're real or find out if they're in it just for themselves. There's so many self-serving folks in Congress right now. It drives me crazy. When in fact, you should be there to represent your constituents and make this country a better place.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Just in Montana, but anyway, go ahead.
What is a question people can ask these candidates that will reveal that? What's a good question to ask?
What's your priorities when you get to Washington, D.C.? I already asked him it.
He already asked.
He had housing. I would say, how many times are you going to come back home? How are you going to build relationships across the aisle? How are you going to develop trust? Because truth is, the biggest difference between the state legislature and Washington, D.C. is we were all in that building together, House and Senate, and you could walk 100 yards and go talk to somebody on the House side. In the U.S. Senate, in U.S. Congress, it is really tough to develop those relationships, especially between houses. And you can do it, but you got to work at it. You got to work at it really hard. But that's what I would talk about. I would also talk about, where you been, what have you done? Are you born with a silver spoon in your mouth, or have you made it by actually, I hate to use these terms, by actually pulling yourself up by your bootstraps?
Yeah.
And by the way, that statement in itself pisses me off because they're one of them people that claims they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps that didn't have help from the government to do it, including you. You're a federal firefighter. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
You're out there fighting fires on our federal forest. Guess who's paying your wages? I am.
Yep.
And then, by the way, I'm a farmer. Guess who's paying my wages? You are.
Solidarity.
With all these damn subsidies because the markets are so screwed up due to this administration and some previous ones too, by the way.
Well, I tell you, when people would come take tours of the smoke jumper base and they'd say, thank you so much for your work, what I tell them is, thank you so much for paying your federal taxes.
Yes.
Because you know what? Some people at the top don't do it quite as much as you and I do it. And that's how this gets done.
Yeah, that's right.
It's true.
And I'll just say, I was on federal subsidized student loans and Pell Grants. So same with me. I wouldn't be here.
Look, if we start checking into your checkered past, I mean, it's going to get pretty bad pretty fast.
It's a good point.
There's a reason you're not running for public office.
You 100%. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for pointing.
Wait, we're not supposed to have checkered past?
Yeah, you're out. Yeah, you're done.
It's good.
All right, so
I got another
Go
question.
ahead.
Can I do it?
Do it.
So I noticed you're wearing a Packer shoe, and just wondering, is that made by White or is
Oh,
that made by some other?
That's a little too
company?
controversial for a podcast.
these are
I mean,
these are boots,
it?
folks.
These-
These are boots.
these are Knicks I got. And
Knicks.
they're dress Knicks, but they got a lager bottom, and no, a good friend bought them for me. As
What
a
the
gift.
hell is a Nick?
Well, Nick worked at White's and
Oh,
didn't like
Knicks.
White, and so
Oh, they're
Nick
Knicks.
shoes in Spokane.
Yep.
That's Nick's.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's step up. That's second level
What
stuff.
do
there,
you
man.
wear?
Well, I wear Whites at home, but
You can tell the truth.
just to be honest with you, my is neuropathy. Drives me crazy. So
You have neuropathy?
Yeah.
Oh, we've never talked about that.
No, but so I've been wearing shoes like this, even working on the farm, which is a problem
They're
because
slip-on
soles aren't thick
Skechers.
enough.
That's what they are. They're
These
slip-on
soles aren't
Skechers.
thick enough to protect you from anything. So
Yeah, don't.
yeah.
And,
So I'm
I wore
probably
very sensible shoes today.
so yeah. What the hell are they? High heels with open toes.
We're running the
Yeah,
whole
I
gamut
got
here.
it.
Yeah.
I got
We
it.
have.
But they're the right color. They're the same color as your coat.
If we have any
But-
foot fetish people, this is your podcast. Okay, so it was a big day for you today, and in fact, I was out driving with my son because he got his permit, and so I was like away from my phone because when he's driving the car, I'm focused on the road with
You
him.
should be.
But I got a call from somebody on the team and they said, "Hey, you saw the news, right?" And I said, "No, I didn't see the news. What's the news?" And the DCCC added you to the red to blue list, which basically means that this is one of the most competitive races across the country. So tell me what that news was like to receive and what it does for the momentum here.
It was exciting. It was a relief. It means that the national party is prioritizing Montana's first the way that they ought to, and that this is one of the less than 30 most competitive districts in the country, a place that they see could be crucial to controlling the United States House.
That's incredible.
It is, and I think it's because we were able to have such a good showing in the primary. Our turnout was up 17% in the Democratic primary here. It was down on the Republican side. Yeah. Well, we were able to outraise Aaron Flint by just a hair, and frankly, it's because we got a match made in heaven here. Like, I've spent the last 10 years jumping out of planes, fighting fires on our public lands, and working my tail off, and then working in between fire seasons to actually get policies passed with people in both parties that actually help working people, whether that's public library funding or fighting for homeless shelters across the state. And meanwhile, we got a guy who's been sitting in a recording studio, no salt to people sitting in recording studios, spewing hate and hot air on the radio, and we got enough political pundits and puppets. And
Yeah,
Congress.
I mean, here's the problem I got with your opponent. I'm not going to say him by name. I think the biggest issue we got in this country is division. And he has done nothing on the radio to try to stop the division. He has divided people over and over and over again. And he's got an incredible disregard for the truth. You don't have to say that. I will. And quite frankly, Montana will be more poorly served with him than they would be with Ryan Zinke in there. And Ryan had his problems too. And I think one of the reasons Ryan isn't running is because I think his health is bad. But I also think that it's tough for these guys to stand up in front of the people and say, you know what, I was for tariffs. I thought the president have every right to do tariffs, when in fact they didn't. I think it's hard to these guys stand up and say, you know what, I thought we should cut rural health care. By God, kids on SNAP shouldn't be getting any money. Okay, I think in the war in Iran, yeah, I think that's just a great idea.
It's another 70 billion.
Spend $1 billion a day for God knows how long with no end in sight. And by the way, to get out of this war, it's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars. We've made Iran stronger. That's where I want to be. Okay. I mean, the truth is that our entire delegation, I read an article on this last week, is in favor of the Iran war, favor of the president in the Iran war. Give me a fucking break. Really?
Not so.
We got people that are getting killed. We're spending our country's treasury, and you don't have balls enough to stand up to the president because you know that he might take you out in the primary. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway,
well, no,
that's the problem I got with your opponent.
Well, thanks for saying it. And it's cowardly. And again, what keep trying to bring this back to is you look at it, my opponent's Twitter, he has not offered a single policy solution about what he's going to do to make our lives better if he were to be elected, which he will not. Talking about the war in Iran, we've spent $38 billion. They just asked for another 70. Imagine how much good we could do with that kind of investment if we back home.
Imagine our kids are going to have to pay that debt off. If you're a conservative, and you really are a conservative, and there's damn few of them in Washington, D.C., they ought to be talking about who's paying for this war. And it is not, I ain't paying for it.
No, we're borrowing on the
You're not paying for it. We're borrowing every goddamn nickel of it. Yeah. And we ought to be worried about that because what's the debt? Close to 40 trillion if it's not by now. I don't know. Let me put it this way. It's higher than I got fingers to count it. So,
And you're short a few already.
well, I know. It's probably higher than you got fingers to count it
That's
too.
right.
That's right.
But that being said, we can talk about your opponent. Montana has increasingly become more red. In fact, I used to argue with people in DC when I would be there for my reporting trips because they'd say, oh, no, Montana's red. I'd say, no, it's actually really purple. We have a long history of electing Democrats and Republicans, depending on what office you're looking at. But I mean, it has been a bad, I'll say 6 years for sure for the Democratic Party in Montana for candidates statewide. Montana hasn't sent a Democrat to the U.S. House in nearly 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So why is this year? What's so different? And what is it like to be listed as this highly competitive race after that losing streak?
Well, but I keep grounding that conversation into the fact that Democrat just won Montana's first congressional district last year. His name was John Tester. And he won the district by, 0.7 points?
I don't know you were running.
2 years ago. That's okay.
Ah, 2 years
24.
back.
Yeah.
Time flies.
That's
Time flies when you're having fun.
And that was in a really tough year to win as a Democrat. You outran the national party by 13 points statewide. And we know the right Democrat can win. And right now, a lot of people, including some of my friends or union members who might have voted for these schlubs that are tearing all these basic public services that we rely on down, who are wasting our money overseas or on tax cuts for corporations, well, their lives aren't getting better. My life certainly has not gotten better in the last year and a half. And we don't get out of that hole that our national leaders are digging for us by just talking about how terrible the people in power are doing. We got to talk about the affirmative policy solutions, right? If we are talking about $300 billion for reconstruction in a needless war that we created in Iran, $300 billion to be universal child care and pre-K for every family in this country.
Yeah, by the way, that's $300 billion of America's taxpayer money. And when President Trump got in his first term, he ripped up the JCPOA. That was the agreement we had with Iran that gave him far less. And the reason he ripped that up is because Iran was getting all these boatloads of cash. Well, now they're giving him more boatloads of cash. And they've made Iran much more powerful for the world to work with. It's a difficult situation. So I hope you get in there.
We will.
And I hope you understand the Constitution, because the folks back there now in Congress don't appear to understand the Constitution. The Constitution says we have three co-equal, three co-equal branches of government.
Where are they?
I'll say it one more time because Maritza has a hard time hearing this. Three co-equal branches of government. You know what that means, Maritza? I'm not going to ask Sam. That means that they have as much power as the executive branch or the judiciary branch. And right now, the legislative branch doesn't show that they have any power whatsoever.
I actually thought of you last weekend because I had a day to kill in Washington, D.C., and I went to the National Archives, and it took a look at the Constitution.
Did you?
And I was thinking about you.
It's a marvelous document that more people ought to read.
Absolutely.
And the people that wrap themselves up in the flag and say, I'm all about the Constitution, and really don't understand what either one of them stands for, drives me up a wall.
Well, Maritza, I want to let that last question go because what else gives me hope is it's not just the fact that a Democrat won this district last year.
Yep.
It's not just the fact that we're dead even in the polls and we got such a weak opponent. It's history. And I think we talked about this when I came out to the farm. I mean, in 2006, I think there were folks talking about how, well, it's going to be hard for Democrats looking forward in Montana. And what was the state legislature in 2006? It was about dead even.
Yeah, it was.
Right? Not so long ago. And who were you running against in 2006? There was Conrad Burns, and among all of his mess ups, I think a big one was him going to the Yellowstone Airport in Billings and screaming at a crew of firefighters, hot shots.
Yep, hot shot firefighters. Yeah, it wasn't
was sit on their face and sitting in Congress right now who messed with firefighters and who voted down the line to gut a quarter of the Forest Service in this state and to fire 2,000 red-carded firefighters in our public lands agencies just last year with the DOJ cuts. And
while the state's on fire.
Yeah. And now we're all sleeping in the bed that they made for us. And this has happened before and it will happen again.
We're going to sue Canada.
We're going to put tariffs on Canada.
And then we're going to sue them too. We need damages. You didn't hear that part? Maritza. What am I going to do with
I can't keep up. I don't have enough coffee. I know. I can't wait to send a bill to Idaho and Washington for this smoke.
That's exactly right. I'm sure they'll cut a check immediately.
100%. All right, we are
And
here.
God help us if North Dakota sends us a bill. Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
The nice advantage is our state's so big that it takes a while for the smoke
That's
to get to
true.
North
That's right.
Dakota. But we are here in Bozeman, folks, and we were supposed to have a fourth guest today with us, Tiffany Muller with End Citizens United. She had some travel hiccups. She will be here tonight. But we are here because you are having a town hall event with End Citizens United, an organization you've been a big part of too, Senator. So let's talk about this town hall because they've endorsed you and you pledged to join their Unrig Washington campaign. Let's talk about what that is. What's Unrig Washington?
Well,
What are we going to do?
It's a pledge that is just a baseline for what we need to start getting big money out of politics.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, we got a bunch of T-shirts out front that say "End Citizens United." I mean, that is part of it. Repeal that court ruling that letting money flood into our elections. It is banning super PACs. It is banning corporate spending in our elections, and all of that is just the start. Because even without that, it is a tough system for a normal working person to get into the highest levels of office. And I learned that when I started running. I mean, the first thing they ask you to do, you've been through this, is they say, "Hey, open up your phone book. Tell me how much money you can raise." And it wasn't a whole lot in my phone book.
That's what they do? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
that would not bode well for me.
And let me tell you, if you got a farm, they say mortgage a farm. And I said, no, you go to hell.
Yeah.
Okay. So just what Steve Cyber told me when I asked him to butcher sheep with me. He said, you go to hell, John. And then they called me up and said, you got to mortgage a farm? I said, you go to hell. Pick the name that goes in there. You go to hell.
Good for
There's
you.
no freaking way. I said, my father-in-law was a banker. He would say this is the stupidest thing in the world, but he doesn't have to because I think it's the stupidest thing to do. You got to go out there. You got to raise the money. And then you got to go out and tell your story, and you got to hope. You just got to hope that some billionaire that's got more change in their pocket than most people have over generations doesn't come in and try to take you out. Because that's the problem. The problem is this, Sam. If people know the Sam Forstag that we know here in Montana, you will win, and you will win hands down. If they're able to paint you as one of the many lanes that they may go down, all of them bullshit, then they have a chance of winning. And then you have the government that they lied to you and you elected them. So that's why I say it's important that people go out and meet their candidates, because the bullshit that's going to be on TV this election cycle, because yours is going to be a close race. There will be a lot of money poured into this state by both sides, probably. And the bullshit that's going to be on TV and digital and radio and flyers is all going to be bullshit. And you can, as a voter, you can knock that down if you go down and meet and ask, look him in the eye, shake his hand, and ask Sam Forstag or whatever other candidate is in whatever state it is, the questions that you think are important. And it'll also help educate that candidate when they get in this Congress to go back there and do the things that people are talking about, not what they're hearing from their big donors.
Absolutely.
I feel like this has become a TED Talk, like a political consult, like this is how you have to win. So if anyone else is out there considering a run, listen.
Well, I can tell you, I heard from one today that said, I'm not going to make phone calls to raise money. That's passe. That's gone. Well, just be honest. If you don't want to make phone calls to raise money, then don't ask anybody for any money because you're going to get your ass kicked. It's just the way it is.
Because of the system that we're in.
Because the system we're in, and until we change that system, that's the way it is.
Well, I'll tell you, that's been part of it for us. It's the grunt work.
Yep.
It's like fighting a fire. Mostly you're digging a ditch. That's in the woods.
That's
That's
right.
how you stop a fire. But for us, a big part of it has been the groundswell of enthusiasm.
100%.
I mean, we got north of 20,000 individual donors in this campaign so far, well north of that.
That's good.
And that is what has helped us to actually get to this point.
Well, I don't mean that on the phone's the only thing you do. You still got to go out and meet with people. You still got to go to every spot, just like you said on your town halls. I'm going to go places where it's easy. I'm going to go places where it's hard. Times are good. I'm going to do it when times are bad. And that's the other part of it that you have to do. It's shoe leather. It's waffle stompers. Okay.
You know.
This is something though that I think money in politics has come up maybe every episode we've ever done. And we have more than 100, I think this is like 119, 120 episodes of Grounded.
Congratulations.
Crazy.
That's, you know why? You know why it comes up? Because over $250 million was spent on my race in 2024. Right. I mean, that is beyond ridiculous.
It's insane. And other countries don't do it the way we do it. And we have this court Go ahead.
And going back to what Sam said, think of what that money could be used for.
100%.
Think of the roads it would pave. Think of the schools it would build. Think of the books it could be. Think of go down the line. I don't care. Think of the courthouses it could re-roof. Just go down the line. And other there's no return on investment in all this bullshit. It goes. The only people that are happy are the digital ad makers and the digital folks that are selling ads and TV stations.
Well, and the return on investment is when they get their own little political puppet over in DC.
That's right.
And suddenly the corporate tax rate gets cut to the lowest rate it's been at in a decade.
Yeah.
Right? That's the return on their investment, and we are all poorer for it.
And so I've been listening, and it's taken me a while because I'm not in my car that often, but I drove over to Bozeman today. So I listened for a couple hours to Regime Change, the Maggie Haberman, Jonathan Swan book. And there was a whole section that really got me thinking about this, but they were talking about this whole threat to, from both President Trump and Elon Musk to primary people, whether it's Tillis,
Yep.
Cornyn,
Yep.
You name it,
Yep.
and that threat and what a huge threat it was for members of Congress. And it just made me really, it just clarified that point of like, if we had limits on this money, that threat would not be
100%.
such a death knell. But
100%.
how, like, do you feel like, because it's been a long time since Citizens United, right? It's what has it been,
13.
16?
2013, I think. No, it wasn't. 2010.
16
2010.
years.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's only getting more intense.
Yes, it is.
And we have recent Supreme Court decisions that make it more intense. So do you feel like we're getting to a point where there are enough candidates or actual lawmakers in to do something meaningful to address the impacts on a federal level?
I think of campaign finance a lot like the way I think of our housing crisis or the healthcare crisis. Things have always gotten worse before they got better. And all of the biggest moments of progress in this country came out of moments like this where it seemed, well, like we're all helpless against the massive corporate interests that are buying our elections right now. But people are pissed. And we got over 100 people coming to our town hall right now to talk about ending Citizens United and getting money out of politics. And this is something that is in the discourse that people are talking about because you can see what happens when the average congressperson is worth 15 times the average American, when hundreds of millions are being floated into individual elections, right now into primaries, not even just general elections. That's money that could do a lot of good for people who are drowning right now in a lot of parts of the state, for people who are ending up on the streets in a state where the homeless population doubled or tripled in just about every major city in Montana in the last 10 years. And what that is an embarrassment of riches. Like, that is pearls before swine. That is what they're talking about. It's whether you read your constitution or your scripture, like clearly the people in power are not reading any of this stuff right now. And we should be so mad. And I think that there's enough energy behind this that when we get to Washington, when I win this race, I intend to hold people in both parties accountable if they're not going to put their name on the line for legislation to actually overturn Citizens United, to ban
Good on you, man.
corporate PAC spending, because
Good on you.
the problem is in both parties.
It is. Hate to say it. I mean, the truth is, it is in both parties. The Republicans seem to be more reticent against changing stuff, which I think that isn't on the ground Republicans, by the way. That isn't the Republicans that are voters. That's the Republicans that are in power, and they see it as a way to stay in power. When in fact, it doesn't help them. It doesn't help Democrats. It hurts our democracy. It hurts our country.
Mm-hmm.
So if I look, man, I just hope you get back there. You're wearing those shoes on the floor and you kick somebody's ass.
We're not going to promote violence.
I'm not saying it's
A lot of ways to do
rhetorically
it.
okay.
Well, if you're
You
talking
think-
about his shoes, that seems like a physical.
You got to go back. That's a term. I'm going to
Okay,
go
okay,
back and I'm going to kick
okay.
some ass.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
What did
I mean,
Toby Keith say? Like, he's going to put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
Did I get that right? Was
Some
that Toby Keith?
to Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it was
Um,
Toby Keith or not, but it was great poetry in motion with you.
Oh, always. Do you want to talk about the Montana plan?
No, we'll talk about. Well, look, I will talk about it very quickly. We've got a plan. This is the hat I'm wearing that says in Montana, if the voters pass this, it's initiative 194, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 194. Get my numbers squared up here. That says if you're a corporation doing business in Montana, you can't donate to campaigns. You're not a person, in other words, which, by the way, they're not. And puts some power back in the hands of the people. And I think that does that mean the head of the corporation can't give you money? No, they can under their name, but not under the corporation's name. And so this is an opportunity, I think, to get some arms around the money situation. It is not an end all. I think the point you brought up about maybe putting caps on how much a person can donate individually, I think putting caps on how much a candidate can take,
Absolutely.
Collectively.
overall, I think all that can help force candidates out to do town hall meetings and meet with their constituents and hear what the constituents have to say,
Mm.
rather than going into a basement and buying a bunch of goddamn ads that are going to go on the internet and on TV.
Yep.
Is there one issue or misunderstanding about you or your campaign that you think has come up the most that you're constantly talking to people about?
I mean, the thing that comes up the most is housing, but public lands are what we come back to. And when we started, what I feel like is public lands are something that even Ryan Zinke claims he's a fighter for, right? When I was thinking about whether I should run after a year where a quarter of my coworkers and members just got canned across the state, mostly the lowest paid people we got, I got a flyer from Ryan Zinke that he had a little Teddy Roosevelt head on. And he said he's the Teddy Roosevelt of public lands. Meanwhile, he hadn't picked up the phone in the last year. While I had GS2s making $11 an hour getting canned.
Amen, brother. I mean, that's exactly the truth. Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Well, and I think the white thing I want to bring this back to is whether it is forest management or healthcare, a little bit of preventative medicine goes a long way. And I know firsthand what the real inefficiencies in our federal government are. It is not the GS2 swinging a tool in the woods for $11 an hour. Well, it's people like Tim Sheehy, who's worth $150 million that he has only made off of his federal wildland fire aviation contracting company. And if he didn't make it off the federal government, it was off the county government right here in Gallatin County. Those are the inefficiencies. And the inefficiencies are when I jump a wildfire and I get told that I'm not going to get any ground resources for 3 days. So I have to call in a air tanker that's going to be dropping fire retardant at $7,000 a pop that goes into someone's pocket that is not ours. That's the most expensive way to fight a wildfire.
And dangerous.
And you know what? We are paying so much more for so much less. And whether it is a fire burning into a subdivision and we got to call in large air tanker drops, or a 62-year-old woman sitting at St. Pat's in the emergency room because she couldn't afford a primary care visit, these are the most expensive and least compassionate ways we can possibly address our problem.
God damn, I wished I lived in your district so I could vote for you.
Hey, thanks, sir.
You know,
I could build you a
you
she
get
shed
to-
in my backyard.
Oh yeah, and I can
Come on over.
transfer over, man. No, I mean, I'm telling you what, that message is so spot on. It's so spot on about what people are dealing with every day, and it's spot on about waste, fraud, and abuse in government. I mean, really, I mean, it's so good, and the guys out there that are in Congress right now, on the Republican side of the aisle in particular, have done nothing to try to stop this president, who is a millionaire or a billionaire, maybe a trillionaire now, from New York City, who doesn't know jack shit about rural America, and all of Montana is rural. And so you're going to have an opportunity to go back there and educate some people, if you're willing to do it, and I think you are,
Mm-hmm.
and willing to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Is there any policy position or stance that you want to talk about that might surprise people about you?
You know, one thing, and you'll find that on our campaign website too. I think that right now, the fact that we just lost another mill up in Sealy Lake, one
Yep.
of many mills we've lost in the last 10, 30, 50 years in this
Yep.
state, is a loss. And that too is a policy failure.
Yep.
Because we need milling capacity, because we have a
Absolutely.
housing crisis in this state.
Yep.
And when we outsource our problems, when we say, well,
Yep.
we're just getting lumber from Canada.
Yep.
And
With
then
tariffs.
with tariffs, and then we get our power from South Dakota, and then you look up and wonder where'd all our money go.
Yep.
I mean, these are things we can solve, and we got, yeah.
If you're going to manage your forest, you got to have those mills.
Yes.
And there's plenty of states that don't have any mills anymore, are prime examples of what happens when you don't have mills.
Yes.
Got to have those mills.
And I've spent far too much time on fires. When you're not jumping, you go to things like managing heavy equipment. I'm managing a task force of heavy equipment where it's a lot of contract dozers and masticators,
Yep.
and these are loggers who used to
Yep.
make their money, well, in part through responsible timber harvest,
that's
which is
right.
still possible in western Montana.
It still is possible.
And I got to look that guy in the eye, and they're pulling out burnt sticks from the woods that are not doing anybody any good. And that is not how our government's supposed to work. That's how
Sure.
people lose faith in the federal government, and we can bring faith back.
And by the way, that's there are certain people, there are certain groups, I don't think they're very big, that advocate for not cutting a goddamn tree. And this isn't 1850 anymore. You got to cut a few trees. If you do it responsibly, as you say, it can help with forest health. and people use the products of that. Would I say something wrong? You just get up and leave.
No, I want to,
I'm sitting here
forgot.
talking away.
I have to give
I'm
you
making
some.
my best pitch, and you just get up and walk away.
You're used to it.
Well, I want to make clear on this piece that, when we...
You weren't saying nothing. She didn't walk out on you.
It's happened before.
You were listening. You were being an intense listener. I was talking.
am getting a gift for you. Stop that.
For me or
yes,
for Sam?
For you. For when we close out our podcast, because we're running out of time.
Okay, yeah, we are. I'm just going to say one thing.
Go ahead.
I'm going to close out, and that is, with rare exceptions, do voters get a chance to vote for somebody like Sam Forstag? He is somebody who is a working man, who's had to balance budgets, who's had to make sure that his family is taken care of, who understands healthcare, who understands the tax system, who understands the importance of milling industry and small business, who understands a lot of things in this country that a lot of people back in Washington, D.C. don't understand. So what I would say for those constituents in Western Montana, put away the party labels if that's what you're hung up on, and vote for a guy who's going to represent you in Congress, and that person is Sam Forstag.
Thank you, sir.
And for our friends across the country, there are so many great candidates running across the country. Is there one race that you're watching? I know you're so busy with your own campaign, but is there one race that you're jazzed about that's not in Montana?
Yeah, we put together a little coalition of 5 other union members who are running in swing districts across the country. It's called the Blue Collar Brigade.
Oh,
the name could be better, but
I like it.
But Brian Poindexter's over in Northeast Ohio. Brian is an iron worker, and he has worked his whole life. He is not somebody who came from a whole lot of money, and he knows what it's like to be on the wrong end of a lot of these broken systems. I think he's going to fight that much harder to fix it. Go check out the Blue Collar Brigade if you want to help all of us. Go to Sam for Montana if you're willing to pitch in and help us. But this is how we fix it. We got to do it ourselves because nobody else is coming to fix it for us.
That's right.
Okay, so you talked about your hat already and dark money.
Yeah.
But when I went to DC last week, and he kind of stood me up. Like I was there, and we were supposed to, like, he missed an event.
I didn't kind of stood you up. I did it.
He did, and then he came into the district. He didn't call me, but I'm sorry. Have something for you, because I met with our friend of the show, Glenn Kirshner, folks, from Justice Matters, and he got a mug for you and a T-shirt for you. So there you go.
Justice is a team sport. I like
Thanks,
that.
Glenn. We appreciate you, Glenn.
Glenn Kirshner.
Glenn Kirshner coming
the
through
guy
with
who,
the swag.
The guy who, if he doesn't lift weights, should, because he looks like he does. You know what I mean? The dude is ripped.
Yeah. I wouldn't mess with him.
No, I'm getting too old for that shit anyway. But,
I wouldn't mess with him. But we love Glenn. We love, it was.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Did you pay for this?
No.
So this is really a gift from Glenn Kirshner.
That's what I said. He brought it.
You made it sound like you were the one that was giving me a gift. When you came up, I got a gift for you.
I'm gonna get Charla on the phone. I don't know how she lives with you. This is impossible.
I know.
But no, Glenn is a friend, and he said make sure you give. He brought you a T-shirt specifically. So
very nice.
Thanks to Glenn. We want to say thank you to Sam Forstag. Anything else before we wrap up here?
No.
Any questions from the chat? I don't think so. We have people saying that you're doing a terrific job, Sam, and some people can't wait to vote for you, and some people don't live here but they wish they could. So
thank you. Thank you both for having me on. Thanks for the education and the support, and for the 18 years of service to the state, sir. It's an honor, truly.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for running, man. It just takes so much energy to run, and you're doing it. And you deserve to win. And by God, I think you're gonna. Keep up the hard work.
All right. So thanks to Sam. We want to thank our friends at Pearl Jam for letting us use their music. We want to thank everybody who joined us here, both live and who are listening later. And we'll chat again soon. He's going to be on the Combine.
Damn straight.
For a while. So the next few shows will probably be on the Combine. So get your...
That's the plan. So it's going to be a lot of shaking and moving. And
guys. We got to get you
I got to have Charlotte stand, hold the...
We're going to figure this out. But we will bring you some new episodes from the Combine, and have a great day, guys.
Tally ho.
Bye, y'all.